Last time, we found out something kind of wild. Water that gets cleaned up, even water that started out really dirty, can end up so clean that it's safe to drink. Safer than some water from a mountain even. So here's today's big question. If tap water and fancy bottled water can end up almost exactly the same, why does one cost basically nothing and the other one costs you $3 whole? And what's actually hiding inside that bottle? Let's find out. Both answers, one episode. Okay, quick math. Tap water costs you a tiny, tiny fraction of a cent for the same amount of water in one bottle. We're talking a difference of hundreds, sometimes thousands of times more expensive for the bottled version. So what are you actually paying for? Not the water. You're paying for the bottle, the label, the truck that drove it to the store, and a little something extra called the idea that this water is special. Think of it like this. If you cracked open the price of one bottle and looked at all the pieces, the actual water inside would be the smallest sliver of the whole thing. The bottle costs more than what's in it. That's the secret. Bottled water companies aren't really in the water business. They're in the make you feel like this water is fancy business. Here's how they do it. They pick a word that sounds clean and natural. Spring, glacier, alpine. Words that make you picture snow and mountains and untouched nature. Then they add a picture of that mountain. Maybe a little snowflake, like the one on our bottle from the first episode. Then, more recently, companies started adding a new magic word, sustainable. They'll tell you about their eco-friendly bottle or their promise to protect the environment, while quietly not mentioning that the easiest way to be sustainable is to just drink from the tap. No bottle, no truck, no marketing team required. It's not that these companies are lying, exactly. They're just really, really good at making you forget there's a much cheaper option, 1 inch away, coming out of your kitchen sink. So now you know the trick. The water was never really the special part. The story was the special part. But here's a twist. Even if the water is safe, the bottle it's sitting in might not be as innocent as it looks. Here's something most people never think about. The water inside your bottle might be perfectly clean, but the bottle itself, that's a different story. Plastic bottles are made from tiny building blocks, and over time, especially if the bottle sits in heat, like in a hot car or a warm store shelf, some of those tiny building blocks can sneak into the water. Scientists call these microplastics, and even smaller ones called nanoplastics. They're so small you can't see them, but they're there. Some of these tiny plastic bits can carry chemicals that mess with your body's natural hormone signals. Scientists have a name for these too. They call them endocrine disruptors. That's a big fancy way of saying chemicals that confuse your body's messaging system. And here's the twist nobody expects. The water itself might have passed every safety test with flying colours, but the second it sits in that plastic bottle for weeks, waiting on a truck, then a shelf, then your fridge, it's slowly picking up tiny hitchhikers from its own container. So the thing you should actually worry about isn't the water, it's the packaging. So what do you do with all this? Here's the good news. Recycled, properly treated water, the kind we talked about in episode 1, is actually one of the safest, most tested options out there. It's checked constantly, treated with multiple layers of cleaning, and monitored way more closely than most natural water sources. The smartest move isn't avoiding water, it's avoiding the bottle. A good home filter attached to your regular tap gives you water that's just as clean, without the plastic, without the markup, and without the mystery ingredients hiding in the container. You don't need the mountain. You don't need the snowflake. You just need a decent filter, and a glass. So here's where we landed. The water was never the problem. The story on the label was designed to make you forget the tap even exists. And the bottle itself might be adding things to your water that were never there to begin with. Next time you reach for a bottle with a mountain on it, remember, that mountain has never seen that water in its entire life. This has been the Water Files. I'm still a little sarcastic, and it turns out the truth about your water was never really about the water at all.